All right, let's get this show on the road. Good morning, everybody.
Morning. Again.
Welcome to, I don't know how many umpteenth number of Coffee with Carls, but we're glad to have you here today. And new change of scenery for me. Henry is holding down Ford at the office. I'm in northeastern North Carolina on Lake Gaston, family place. And I wasn't sure I was going to be able to, there's no cell service out here, but I've got internet. So Henry's my backup. If I go dark and just lose everything, Henry, you're in charge. It's questionable out here. So glad y'all could join us. Lots going on today and this week. Obviously, the governor put together, had another press conference on Wednesday, putting mask ordinances in place in all restaurants, put mask ordinances in state buildings. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that was not done earlier. I thought when everything was happening that masks were required in state buildings, but wow, maybe a little late to the game there, but whatever. They've got masks in courthouses now in all state buildings across South Carolina. Interesting fact, I know Rich has probably seen this, but others, the number of cases has declined in areas that they put mask ordinances in. I know a 100% shocker there, but as we look forward, I mean, Beaufort numbers, Charleston numbers, Myrtle Beach numbers have declined a little bit, and Columbia and Lexington are also starting to see a decline, which is really good. The average numbers are down, but deaths are up. And those will obviously, they're 2 or 3 weeks behind all the other numbers. So hopefully those will continue to decline. Bigger numbers, though, yesterday with the largest drop in GDP in our nation's history. No shock to anybody, obviously, there either, but it is stark seeing those numbers in reality. I think it really emphasizes the need to, we can't afford another shutdown, and like we've seen before. So we've got to start masking up, and masks are getting the attention, but don't forget the hand sanitizer. That's important as well. Let's talk about, 2020 is a bad dream, especially live on the coast now. Isaiah, tropical storm, has seen an increase this morning. In fact, larger than what the anticipated max strength was going to be on this storm. So if you're planning a coastal visit next week, think twice. Won't be horrible category, but maybe up to 100-mile-an-hour max winds. But keep an eye on that storm. It is very unpredictable. And having lived through, I grew up in East North Carolina I grew up with hurricanes. This one's got some unpredictability to it, so keep an eye on that one. But our friends along the coast, especially the business community along the Grand Strand that's trying to salvage a year, they certainly don't need this right now, so our thoughts are with them. But keep a close eye. It'll bring some rainfall to us in the Midlands, and which is, I don't care. Well, we need the rainfall, but we also lower the temperatures, which would not be a bad thing at all. All right, big news, huge news for those that like college football. SEC's playing all conference year this year. That should be very, very interesting. Had a unique opportunity on Wednesday to all the SEC teams, their local chambers of commerce got on a call this week, and it was really kind of fun. A bunch of banter back and forth about, especially from the LSU, the Baton Rouge chamber, but they were disappointed, or they were actually excited either way, either to play football or not to play football, because having 2 years to say they're the national champions, they were looking forward to that. Of course, I couldn't comment on that at all, but whatever. The real issue is going to be colleges and universities as they plan to go forward, especially the economics of the impact on higher education is really, really tremendous. So excited that we're going to see some football. Disappointed that they did not grant a one-game waiver to so we could continue the Clemson-Carolina rivalry. First time in 112 years that game's not going to be played or something like that, which is pretty remarkable. But on the college note, and this is a programming note as well, we're going to have on Tuesday for our regular issues committee meeting, virtual issues committee meeting, a talk about the financial impact of COVID on colleges. And so we've got Colonel Mark Beeger, who's the chief of staff at USC, Dr. Ron Rames and Dr. Rosalind Artis, who are going to be on to talk about how those schools are opening. So that's USC, Benedict, as well as Midlands Tech, how they plan to operate in COVID, and not so much about the precise how we're going to function in social distance, but really about the economic impact that those that COVID has, and how they're going to, what's the future look like. And so I'm really excited and actually interested in to hearing what they have to say. Obviously, a lot of the athletic stuff is still yet to be determined. So Colonel Beeger will not have a lot there, but we're going to probe him anyway. Just for those that don't know, Colonel Beeger, he is new. Well, he's back to Columbia. He was at Fort Jackson until about 3 or 4 years ago. His most previous role, he was chief of staff at West Point, and so he had worked with President Caslin at West Point and brought him back to Columbia. So we're Mark and his wife are delightful, and we're thrilled to have them in Columbia, but also participating on Tuesday. So also, let me just throw this out to chamber partners. We've got through Richland County was able to secure a grant for a bunch of thermometers, and had offered those to chamber partners in this community that may thermometers. As you're walking in to if you have a storefront, if you have a retail business, and you may want to check employees' temperatures, let us know. We've got some available. There is a catch to this. This is from Department of Commerce up in the U.S. Department of Commerce grant. So there are some specific requirements. It's private sector businesses only. It's not government or nonprofits. But if you or your business may have a need for thermometers, let us know, and we can get you in contact with the folks at Richland County. So we appreciate them offering up. Let's talk. We talked about this the last few weeks about K-12. That's been a hot topic around town and across the state. Interesting point that the Department of Ed approved 25 school districts' plans yesterday, many in the Midlands. They approved Kershaw, Lexington 1, 2, 3, 4, and Richland, Lexington 5 plan to come back. They have not approved Richland 1 or Richland 2. So I'm intrigued to see what they're looking at there. Anxious for an answer, quite frankly. Like many of us that have kids, we want to make some plans, but hopefully we'll see some more either today or Monday. I think we're down to 84 school districts in the state of South Carolina. So there are a lot of different plans and a lot of different, I think it's 84, give or take one. But we've got, there's a lot of work there for the Department of Ed to review those things. However, I'm intrigued what they're thinking as well. So with that, let me open it up for everybody. If there's questions, issues that y'all may have, or comments. Would love to hear what you got to say. I'm looking. Sorry, I'm trying to function off of one computer today of looking at chats and comments. But if you have a comment, feel free to put it in the chat box. If not, you can always email us at info@columbiachamber.com. Mary Louise was great to send us some updated points on the tropical storm that's barreling down on us. It's too soon in the season for tropical storms. I just got to tell you. All right, no comments, huh? Everybody quiet. Nobody. All right, take a coffee swig if you need it. All right.
Hey,
Am I
Carl.
the one? Yes, sir.
This is Randy Halfacre. How are you?
Mr. President, what's going on?
Well, I just wanted to share with you a couple things. I was going to ask you again this morning about any metrics and positive impacts of wearing masks within the state of South Carolina, particularly within the Columbia area. I think you answered that earlier, that there's been some real positive results by wearing masks in Charleston, Greenville, and even in some pockets of Columbia. So, you know, we have those people out there that are anti-mask, but it does appear that they are having a positive impact. And a quick story, I had a friend of mine yesterday share with me that he and his wife were eating lunch at Rush's here in Blackstone. And they noticed as they were eating in the car that a number of people would get out and attempt to go into the restaurant, and they were told they couldn't come in because it was a mask requirement. They'd go back to the car, get their mask, and then go in. So I don't know what that tells me, other than unless you mandate it, people really aren't going to pay attention to it. So just my observation.
Well, that that's a good observation, and one that I'm chuckling because I am so guilty. I walk out of the car and get 10 feet and realize, oh crud, I forgot my mask. I got to go back, or I get all the way to the door and realize it. So it's what does it take? 3 weeks to create a habit? Is that what the old saying
21
is?
days, I think it is.
Yeah, it needs to hurry up because I am guilty of that. And I carry 4 or 5 masks with me all the time in the car anyway. But yeah, that's a good observation. I'm waiting to see what DHEC says in their numbers today. I know they're monitoring the different parts of the state that have the mask ordinances and the drop in cases. There is significant evidence to show that. Also on that note, Randy, let me tell you, I had a great conversation with somebody from Memphis, Nashville this week, who there are 3 really good opportunities for a vaccine that are being tested right now. One of the things that came out of my conversation was that actually a lot of there's 2 particular companies that are already starting to mass produce vaccines, though they have not gotten a final approval, but they are in the process of mass producing those vaccines, which would be great. Secondly, they also let us know that they're far along on a new blood test for COVID, and that's been elusive up until now. The swab up the nose has been the best identifier, but a blood test will show antibodies, but it doesn't show active, and so, or has not. Now they've got a test they think they can find. What will happen there is you get the results a lot quicker with a blood test versus a nose swab. And so the testing has been a challenge because it's good for that 1 minute, right? I mean, then you can get exposure somewhere else. But the testing results, if they can come faster, we can notify people faster, which certainly helps the spread. So hopefully those things are promising. So thanks for those comments.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Carl, to add into what you've said about that testing, you know, something that normally might take 7 years because a business like a pharmaceutical has the risk, the financial risk of spending a lot of money on something that may not work. Now the government has sort of stepped in and said, we'll pick up some of that risk, which is why they're actually going forward. Several of the companies that are selected from a government absorption of risk are stepping up forward. Those mass producings in a phase 3 of a clinical trial, you get 20,000 people to test it, and if it's working, you can just sort of keep right on going. They don't have to back off. It's something that can happen already. So we already probably have, up to 150,000 folks, that are right almost in the middle of being tested. And so we're going to see some accelerated announcements before too long. But they'll be gradual, but something will occur. So just wanted to pass that on from my readings.
That's good. Yeah, that's good stuff. And one that would, the sooner we can get that, obviously, because it does take a while, and you've got to understand the risks involved with any vaccine. It's going to take a little bit more time, but I am very, very hopeful that we'll have some answers before the end of the year, which will be great.
And some of them,
we also have to get the anti-vaxxers to take it.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry, Jim, what were you going to say?
No, and I concur. The anti-vaxxers, they're going to be out there anyway. They've already been out there with other things. They'll get on board, when they have to worry about their parents, I guess. And there's different types of vaccines coming out too. Some of them are oral. So they're coming at this from a lot of different directions. So there's going to be some interesting stuff. It is still going to be difficult. There may be some failures, but there are going to be some, I think, some very positive things come out pretty soon.
Well, it does speak to the power of a public-private partnership and the resources from the feds and the flexibility and the ingenuity of the private sector. Man, we can do great things. It's cool. Anyway, what else? Other comments? Any issues or what you're hearing out there? I was going to call on somebody fun today to give us a great pearls of wisdom like David Lockwood. All right. Well, let's talk about next week. Again, I highly encourage y'all to tune in on Tuesday. Last July, July's issue, we had 3 superintendents talk about coming back to school. The highest viewed thing I've ever seen in the chamber. It was unbelievable. Next Tuesday, again, we're going to have 3 universities represented in the Midlands, which will be great. A lot of other things happening in town. So if you need a thermometer, let us know. I know, Susan, Henry, have I missed anything?
Wondered if you wanted to comment, Carl, on the announcement that unemployment claims declined.
Yeah, unemployment claims have declined over the last couple weeks, but this is the first week, obviously, that we will not have the $600 federal match or gift or whatever you want to call it from the feds. I'm very optimistic with Congress extended. They're going to be in this week, this coming week. They delayed going on their August recess. You think? Anyway, they delayed their. Let's see. I'm getting some feedback. Sorry, they delayed their August recess for a week, but they've got to answer some big questions, and one being the unemployment claims and how to address that. I know there's different opinions both on the Republican side and Democratic side. That's the one sticky wicket, I think. They all agree that those earning less than $75,000 will be getting a $1,200 check sometime by late August as a stimulation check there. We're going to see. I'm partial. We've been waiting for about 4 months. They're going to let C6s finally get into the payroll protection plan, which is good. They will, I feel very, very confident, have a second round of PPP. But there are going to be certain criteria that you've got to hit.
You brought it in the microwave. You want me to get it for you?
Oh, there we go. So we're going to see a lot of things happen this next week. Especially out of DC, as the next round of help comes down the way. So that keep an eye out for that, and hopefully that'll be by early to midweek next week. And then Congress they won't miss the August recess, especially in an election year. So they got to get home and campaign. So before I
There was
leave,
one other thing, Carl.
Yeah.
The liability protections for business, that's going on. The discussion's being held now. Do you have an update as to where they are and maybe a further explanation of why it's so important for businesses?
Yeah. So they have, I think 36 states have passed some type of liability protection for businesses as it relates to COVID. And a lot of businesses have been nervous, have been apprehensive about opening up until there's some protection there. As it plays out, the state of South Carolina has not adopted anything. There's been tons of pressure put on them to do something when they come back in September. The feds have been looking at it, and the Republican bill that was introduced by McConnell on Monday does have some limited protections for business. It doesn't go very far, but it does offer a little bit of protection, which would be better than nothing. But it is important for individual business owners to at least have a peace of mind. I mean, most businesses, if you talk small businesses, we're under like 5 employees. One of the biggest concerns they have in pre-COVID, post-COVID is getting sued, because the amount of money that it costs to protect yourself from a frivolous lawsuit is significant. And so if you're operating in good faith and trying and have taken every measure possible to protect you, your employees, and your customers, and happenstance if somebody gets COVID and they sue you, it can shut your business down. And so this is a protection. It's not for malfeasance. It's not for gross negligence. It's not to address any of those issues, but it does give a base waiver for those that, listen, COVID is everywhere. Heck, it's not even covered by insurance. If it's not covered by insurance, there's a question of whether you can sue for it. And that's for a larger debate. But from a 30,000 foot level, let's just say that it's up for discussion. That's a sticky wicket, though, and we'll see what Congress will do. In past, they've left this up to individual states, and so I don't want to take the pressure off our General Assembly for doing something here as well on a state level. All right, good question.
And Carl, this is Lynn. I just comment that remarkably, OSHA has been fairly quiet on the issue.
Extremely quiet. They don't know. I mean, there are a lot of questions. I know at the very beginning, there were a bunch of lawsuits filed. I mean, by April, there were about 300 lawsuits nationally. And those will just keep continuing. So I don't know the new number there are, but it's a lot. And so we're all trying to figure this out. And in uncharted territories, what we know doesn't work is uncertainty, and that it hurts the market, it hurts business, and so we can have some certainty would really, really help. Any other thoughts? I'm trying to look this.
Hey, Carl, just one other little aside. Every time I read the paper, including this morning, I see these numbers flinging out there, and the numbers are almost irrelevant because they've not been put in the context you can give a number or you can give a rate. It's all about that whole graph. What does the graph show, or what does this information show? It's what we're trying to teach kids to look at in school, so that they see one piece of information and they draw an incredibly bad conclusion. It's where you get that term critical thinking that's involved. And, when you see folks say that, we've got more people unemployed, 700,000 unemployed, which is larger than we had in the Great Depression. Well, yes, we have a lot more people. So 700,000 would not be the same today as it was back then. And a lot of other things, the growth rate is we had a big hit on our GDP, and let's remember that's looking backwards. We've known that was coming for 3 months. you know, and it's expected to be. This is going to be the worst one. And we expect, though, as does the stock market, which is still kind of flying high, they look forward and the economists look backwards. So you kind of got to, you know, say, okay, look, if everything's falling apart, why are stocks still doing well? And some people will tell you that because growth has picked up considerably, but if you look backwards over the last 3 months, that was awful. So just, you got to be careful of all these numbers they're throwing out. It's just ridiculous. I just sort of scratch my head when I see this stuff in the paper.
Well, you're right. The numbers, a lot of these numbers are just slices of the pie. They don't paint the whole picture. And so remarkably, I think people are going to be optimistic. One, things are opening back up more so every week. You've got the promise of a medical, I don't want to say cure, but they're optimistic what medicine and the research community is doing. That's huge. And so I think there's leveling, most folks can read between that and see there's middle ground. And, you know, I think for the most part, it's been a good week. There are some somber sides. I'd be remiss if I didn't want to lift up Mike Briggs and his family this week. But Mike was a good friend and was great to this community for years and years and years. And so we hate what he's gone through the last few months, but we'll lift up his family. But talking about refreshing was seeing the funeral of John Lewis yesterday. That was pretty awe-inspiring, so especially in these times. So lots of positivity out there this week. And
hey, Carl.
Anyway, yes, sir.
Lockwood here. Since you called me out, and this is not a commercial on real estate, but I got to tell you, there are so many positives out there. And when we look at economic development, we look at commercial real estate, everyone is viewing this as a really short period of time. Everyone knows that we'll get through this period of time. We have to endure it. But the economic development circles in South Carolina are incredibly busy right now. This will be a new era for South Carolina in economic development and manufacturing, and even office development or offices coming into the state. Retail is alive and well for the future. It may not be for the short term, but there are retailers looking long term and building new stores. There is massive amounts of residential land development gearing up. There's a huge shortage of housing, and all of the major builders in South Carolina are putting land under contract to develop subdivisions because of the huge shortage of housing. So, you know, just from my world of commercial real estate, it's really optimistic because they're looking in 2021 and 2022, they're looking beyond 2020. And that's a really good sign for the economy and for the future of South Carolina.
Great. Thanks for that. And we're seeing stores open all the time. We've got some REIs open in April. In August 12th, I think. Also, our good friends are back at Earth Fair, which I'm very excited about. So there are some silver linings, no doubt about it. And actually, and the Walmart announcement down in Dorchester County this week was huge. Talking about, I thought their distribution facility in Lawrence was huge. This one's going to be larger, which is great for the entire state. It impacts the port. It impacts everybody. So good for the folks in the Low Country to pick up another large business, but it does benefit us all. All right, let's go out on those positives today. Thank you all very much for being with us, and I hope. Chuck asked a question. Let me just get Chuck. I think an email went out yesterday, day before on Tuesday's issues committee, but I know it went out, and we're excited about having your boss with us on Tuesday.range. So, all right, y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy the heat and humidity, and keep an eye out for that storm. Wear a mask, and don't forget your hand sanitizer. All right, we'll see y'all next week. Take care.
Have a great weekend, everybody.